Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're getting into one of the most remarkable stories of professional duality we've ever come across in our research.
It's a real study in extremes, isn't it?
It is. We're looking at an individual who forged two completely separate, and I mean wildly contrasting, professional identities.
Right. First, as a major international figure in the adult film industry of the 1990s.
And then executes this complete pivot to become a published and respected true crime historian.
And that's the hook, I think. For you, the listener, it's not just that she had these two careers, it's the level of success she achieved in both. It's a fascinating arc. We're tracing the life of Sabrina Johnson.
So let's lay out the basic facts. Our sources start with a woman born Amanda Parr on July 29th, 1976.
In Leigh, Greater Manchester, in England.
And she builds this first major professional persona, Sabrina Johnson, and was, according to everything we've read, incredibly active in the adult industry from about 1995 to 2002.
And that persona became iconic. I mean, very, very quickly. It's important to understand she wasn't just another performer, she built a whole brand.
Absolutely. The descriptors are so consistent across the sources.
Mm-hmm.
She was known for her very lithe figure, that distinctive English accent.
Which was a huge selling point, especially in the American market.
A huge selling point.
Yeah.
And maybe most of all, this incredible on-screen enthusiasm, just this high-energy presence.
And she didn't waste any time. She started in 1995, right after she turned 18.
And within months, her personal and professional life become kind of intertwined in this very dramatic way.
Yeah, she marries Graham Edelsberg. Sometimes you see him referenced as Graham Johnson in that same year, 1995. And this is where things take a sharp turn.
It's a crucial detail. This marriage and her career choice forced them to make an immediate and permanent geographical move.
Right. They relocated almost immediately to Belgium. They settled near Antwerp in a place called Brecht.
And this wasn't, for a lifestyle change. The notes we found indicate it was a direct response to legal pressure. Her husband was actually being prosecuted by British authorities over her career.
So from the very beginning, the stakes are incredibly high. There's legal risk. They literally have to leave their home country because of the work she's doing.
And yet, despite that pressure, her career it explodes.
It thrived. She starts getting major recognition from within the industry establishment. In 1999, she gets a nomination for the AVN Performer of the Year.
This is a huge deal.
A huge deal. And it wasn't a one-off thing either.
No, the recognition just keeps coming.
Ah.
She's nominated again in 2000 for AVN Female Performer of the Year.
And then in 2001 for Best Group Sex Scene in a video for Sodomania, Gangbang Edition.
So that steady stream of nominations, it really speaks to her versatility. She can handle all these different kinds of scenes, from gonzo to more structured features.
All while managing this complex international career and all the legal stuff in the background. It's a lot.
It is a lot. And that brings us to the sheer scale of her work.
Oh.
Because the numbers themselves are just. They tell a story of incredible dedication.
The time frame is what gets me. We're talking about 7 years, roughly. In that time, her filmography is just staggering.
The sources vary, but they say she appeared in at least 130 films.
Some say well over 140. I've even seen a number like 232.
That's an insane pace.
Yeah.
And it points to a very specific market specialization, too. It's noted that at least 70 of those titles featured anal sex.
So that becomes a key part of her brand.
Exactly. And if we look at some of the specific performances mentioned in the sources, I mean, you have to analyze them for the logistical and physical discipline they must have required.
For sure. You look at a title like Gangbang Angels 3 or Gangbang Girl 18.
Right, the one with Nikki Brantz in the boxing ring.
Yeah. I mean, that scene involved complex choreography, a huge number of participants, multiple different acts. It's basically industrial-level performance.
It's athletic. It's an athletic discipline, really, performed under intense scrutiny.
And that all builds up to the event that really cemented her fame, or maybe notoriety, the thing called Gangbang 2000.
Okay, so this was a massive event. It was staged over 2 days at the end of the year 2000. December 28th and 29th.
And the claim, the number that got attached to this event,
is that she had 2,000 sexual encounters during this 2-day shoot.
2,000. It's just an eye-popping number.
It is. And this is where, the branding becomes maybe more interesting than the physical act itself.
I agree. Because whether that number is, literally true or partially marketing hype, it doesn't almost matter. The fact is that 2000 became the metric. It became the defining narrative for her.
That she was capable of this extreme, record-shattering endurance.
Exactly. And maintaining that perception, whether through the performance itself or just really clever marketing, that requires a ton of focus.
That focus then leads us to the final act of her first career,
Hmm.
which is also sort of the beginning of her second.
Right. Her final original feature came out in 2002. It was called Can I Fuck You Too?
And significantly, she didn't just star in it. She also directed it.
Which is a critical shift. She goes from being the talent, the performer, to taking on creative control, management, business oversight,
It's a completely different skill set. Budgeting, scheduling, managing other people.
all of which you could argue are highly transferable skills.
And before she fully makes that transition, her influence in the industry is already very clear.
Oh, there's a definite ripple effect. In the UK, you see performers like Tiffany Walker and Hannah Harper who sort of follow in her footsteps.
And in the American market, too. Performers with a similar build and focus on the genre, like Vanessa Chase, Aurora Snow.
Jenna Hayes, Taylor Rain. And even later, you see that style she helped define reflected in some of the Eastern European stars who became popular, like Angelina Crowe or Claudia Jampson. She really set a template.
And given all this intense professional scrutiny, it's not surprising she used a lot of different names.
Well, you had to. The sources list Amanda Sabrina, Amanda Johnson, Amanda J. Parr.
Managing those identities was clearly a conscious strategy.
Of course. I mean, that identity management is the thread connecting these two careers. Sabrina Johnson was the brand, the professional mask. When you're in a high-risk field and you've had to leave your country over it, controlling your identity is it's survival.
Which brings us to the most remarkable part of this entire deep dive. Around 2002, when she's directing and retiring from performing, she starts saying in interviews what she's going to do next.
And it's so specific and so surprising. She says she's going to write a nonfiction book about the Chicago underworld of the 1920s.
And what's really astonishing is that she actually does it. This wasn't just some retirement fantasy.
Yeah, she did the work. The book comes out just 3 years later, in 2005. It's titled The True and Complete Story of Machine Gun Jack McGurn.
And that title alone, The True and Complete Story, implies some serious historical rigor.
We should probably pause on the subject. I mean, who is Jack McGurn? Jack McGurn was a major player in the Chicago underworld during Prohibition, a really dangerous time. He was an enforcer for Al Capone and he's often linked to one of the most infamous crimes in American history.
The St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
The very one. He was implicated but never convicted. So she chose a subject where the primary sources are murky, the witnesses are long dead, and the history is filled with myths.
To write a true and complete story about that requires you to move past all the sensationalism and dig into archives, court records, police files, it's a huge undertaking.
It demands tremendous mental stamina, a kind of intellectual discipline to sort through all this conflicting information and build a real evidence-backed narrative.
And this is the key. She doesn't publish it under her performance name, not as Sabrina Johnson.
No, she switches back to a version of her birth name. The book is authored under the pseudonym Amanda J. Parr.
It's a deliberate identity reset.
Completely strategic. The historical community, they value evidence and research, not celebrity. By using a name closer to her civilian self, she gives the work its own legitimacy.
And if you look at the two careers side by side, the required skills, they start to look surprisingly similar.
That's the whole point, I think. On one hand, you have an industry that demands intense focus, logistical management, and the extreme physical execution of a plan.
And on the other, you have historical writing, which demands intense focus, logistical management of archives, and the extreme mental execution of a research plan.
It's the same engine, just driving two completely different vehicles. The ability to endure a 2-day shoot like that, or to endure months in a dusty archive cross-referencing files, both require an almost obsessive commitment.
It's the ultimate example of transferable skills, the ability to just execute.
And from what our research shows, the book was well received for its detailed approach. She successfully did it. She created a new, legitimate professional identity where her past was basically invisible to her new audience.
So we started with Amanda Parr from Leigh, who becomes Sabrina Johnson, the global performer, who becomes Amanda J. Parr, the published historian.
It's a complete synthesis. It shows this rare ability to achieve peak performance in these wildly different fields that both demand a frightening level of focus. She didn't just dabble in either one, she conquered them.
So as you think about this arc, here's the question to really mull over. What is the baseline requirement for mastery in any demanding field? Is the discipline it takes to physically sustain a performance like Gangbang 2000 fundamentally different from the mental discipline needed to write a definitive history of a Prohibition-era mobster? What skills are truly universal, the ones that let a person completely reinvent themselves and succeed, no matter what the stage is? That's something to think about.